Best friend slept with ex of 4 years 15 plus times. After a month of suspicion and calling her out, she finally admitted that she's been sleeping with him and couldn't tell me whether they will continue to or not. We ended things in May and she's been sleeping with him since June. I loved the man with my whole heart, and she knew that. I would tell her so much about our relationship and I can't believe anyone would do this to me. I know I need to cut them both off, but I feel so lost and hurt and angry right now and I don't know what to do. It's affecting my work life and personal life. I am in the same university program, which is very small, as both of them, so I will be seeing them very often in the upcoming school year and I don't know how I will cope. Edit. Thank you everyone for the responses. They've been helping me accept the situation, but it seems like this is going to get harder as I process before it gets easier. I blocked them both and am trying to seek professional help. She ain't your best friend or even a friend. Go no contact with both. That's not a best friend. That's just an acquaintance that's tricked you into a one-sided friendship. Move on and find a friend that values you more than dick. Best revenge is to live your best life. Drop them like the dead flies they are and move on. Ace your internship and be rocking it when classes start back up. Put the blinders on and forget they exist. It'll bug them the most to see you at your best without either of them. They did you a solid. Sorry to hear, by the way, sad face. I think during this time discover things about yourself or you can reflect what is that I loved about him. Honestly, if he did this, his character is pretty shitty. They're a couple of pieces of shit. They can stink together. Block and ignore forever, move to a better life with better people. Sorry for you, man. Hang in there. My husband has a female pen pal. Update. Thank you everyone. As you might imagine, there was much more to the story. I spoke to the woman he was writing the letters to. A common thing I noticed was that he never talked about our relationship in the letters, but he did mention our children quite a bit. Apparently, he gave her the impression that him and I were separated but still living together to co-parent our children. She said that they did meet up, quite a few times, to exchange the notebook that turned into sometimes hours-long conversations. She said they never did anything directly cheating, but he did flirtatious things, like running his fingers through her hair and putting his arms around her while they were sitting next to each other. And she said she absolutely would not have allowed him to do those things if she had known we were still very much together. Original. I, 35 female, sensed my husband, 38 male, pulling away emotionally. I talked to him, he told me nothing was wrong, etc. He was still acting strangely. I began thinking he was being unfaithful. But I couldn't find any proof. I started to feel crazy. Nothing weird on his cell phone, nothing strange on the phone bill. He always seemed to go where he said he was going. And then one day I was putting away his laundry and I found a notebook folded into a hoodie. The notebook was full of letters between him and another woman. They passed it back and forth, writing letters to each other. It was just an ordinary black marble notebook. I could have seen it a million times before and would not have thought anything of it. But it was filled with letters back and forth. Pages and pages and pages of letters. Nothing even overtly sexual, just deep, in-depth conversation. I confronted him and he didn't hide it. He said yeah, he has a pen pal, so what? I asked who he was talking to and it's just someone who lives around here. I asked how it started and he said they were waiting in line at the deli one day and they started talking. They both went to the same high school but he graduated 10 years before her. He said they talked for a while and they had to cut it off. And she said something along the lines of, I feel like I still have so much to say, I could write a letter. And he said so go ahead and write one. So he got a notebook and wrote her a letter and gave it to her and she wrote one back and they just kept passing the notebook back and forth. He said this is their third notebook they filled up. He said they don't text or secretly hang out, they just write letters back and forth. He said he puts the notebook in her mailbox or sometimes they'll switch it out at the deli. It all seems so bizarre to me. I told him he could write letters to me if he wanted to write letters. And he said sure. So I said so there's no need to write to her too anymore and he was like no, I can write to both of you. And I told him it makes me really uncomfortable, especially since he kept it a secret from me. He told me he didn't keep it a secret, he just didn't explicitly tell me because he knew I'd overreact. He said he has no intention of cheating on me, so she might as well just be a guy friend that he's writing to. I told him would it be okay if I did this with a male, if he would be okay with it. He said if I could find a man who was completely okay with having an entirely platonic relationship over letter writing then fine, but he doubted I would be able to find someone who's want that. He thinks I'm blowing this completely out of proportion. He says she's a pen pal and she's not going to cheat on me, so what's the issue? The issue is this isn't a pen pal situation. He sees her, she lives 2 miles away from us. He claims they don't hang out, but how is it possible that they never chat for a while, etc.? This entire situation makes me feel so weird, and he's making it out like I'm completely exaggerating. Edit, since some people don't seem to get the issue. The problem isn't the letter writing. It's keeping it a secret. Update. Thank you everyone. As you might imagine, there was much more to the story. I spoke to the woman he was writing the letters to. A common thing I noticed was that he never talked about our relationship in the letters, but he did mention our children quite a bit. Apparently, he gave her the impression that him and I were separated but still living together to co-parent our children. She said that they did meet up, quite a few times, to exchange the notebook that turned into sometimes hours-long conversations. She said they never did anything directly cheating, but he did flirtatious things like running his fingers through her hair and putting his arms around her while they were sitting next to each other, and she said she absolutely would not have allowed him to do those things if she had known we were still very much together. I don't know, this very much sounds like the start of an emotional affair to me. It does not need to be something sexual. He is no longer present in the relationship as he was previously. I'm not buying what he's selling. Hang on. He says you can have a male pen pal if you can find a man who is happy to have an entirely platonic relationship with you, but you won't find a man like that. So, surely, either he is the only man on the planet who is capable of having a platonic relationship, or it's not a platonic relationship that he has going with his pen pal. The weird thing for me is the secrecy. If I have an excellent conversation with someone, then it was interesting enough to share at least bits of it with my husband. I wouldn't like this for the simple fact that this is making him different. It doesn't matter if it's cheating or not in the text, he is checking out of the relationship. That's not okay. When your relationship with anyone else affects the one with your spouse, it's not okay. That's why he hid the notebook. He knows it's not okay, or he would have said something. It's not a pen pal. They live in the same town. They are regular friends who send letters. A friend he made while married. What's the difference between this and texting a girl he met at the deli? Also, just FYI, by saying he dropped it off in her mailbox, he's admitting he's been to her house. The fuck? I didn't tell you because you would overreact as 100% lying. He knows it, you know it, tell him to get his head out of his rear end. Op. This is not a small problem. You're not overthinking or overreacting. This is an emotional affair. He has brought another woman into your relationship. He is spending time with this woman in his mind and putting it on paper. Not good. It will get way deeper as time goes by. Don't get caught off guard. This is a red flag. Got to stop it. Good luck. My daughter won't speak to us after we gave my niece her room. My daughter is 25. She's lived with her fiance for almost 3 years. We have 3 other kids, 23F, 22M, 19F. My 23-year-old lives with us and my 19-year-old is home for the summer. 4 months ago, my husband got an email from our niece, 12, that we've met once. The email basically said that she needed help and she had a bad home life. She had come to visit with her parents a couple months before that, and I had a gut feeling that something was wrong, but I couldn't do anything about it. I went to pick her up, CPS was involved, and she lives with us now. My oldest was okay with my niece staying in her room when we thought this would be temporary, but it looks like her parents' parental rights will be terminated and we'll adopt her. Now that we're most likely adopting her, she needs her own room. Giving her my oldest daughter's room just makes the most sense because she doesn't live here anymore. I called her and told her it looks like we'll be adopting niece. She needs a bedroom, and her bedroom makes the most sense because she doesn't live here anymore. It's the biggest, and it's closest to our room. We told her we'll be packing her stuff and we can keep it in the garage for a few months, but she needs to come and sort through it and decide what she wants to keep and what she wants to give away. She told us that if we give away her room, she'd never speak to us again. We tried talking to her about it because it can't stay her room forever and we have someone that needs it, but she still said either we keep her bedroom and figure out another place to put niece or lose her forever. We thought she'd calm down eventually and converted the room to my niece's room. We packed all of my daughter's stuff and it's waiting in the garage for her. She won't talk to us and we were uninvited from her wedding, so I want to know what we should do. Yikes. She really thinks she should get to keep a room at a house she doesn't live? As a 25-year-old adult? I'd let her throw this fit and act a fool. This is completely ridiculous. That 12 years old needs her help. Her daughter needs to grow up. That girl sounds like she's been through hell and her daughter luckily sounds like she didn't have a life like that, so she should be thankful. Your daughter is 25, hasn't lived with you in 3 years and is throwing a tantrum because her 12-year-old cousin, who you saved from an abusive home, is sleeping in her room? There's something wrong with her. Was she always a spoiled, entitled brat? Wow, your daughter is super entitled. Has she not, for 1 second, thought about what your niece is going through? Also, it's not her room. You own the room and you allowed her to use it when she was growing up. She's being pathetic. Honestly, just say your piece that you're helping your niece and now daughter and that your new daughter has every right to that room as she once did. When she's willing to grow up and talk to you again, that you'll be here. Keep her things forever if needed for a time when she can come to a more mature decision. Regarding the wedding, if anyone asks, don't keep her secrets. If she is old enough to marry and exclude you, she is old enough for everyone to know why. It's your house, not hers. She really wants to kill her relationship with her parents over a room she hasn't lived in for 3 years? Damn, how petty can someone be? I'd leave her to it. My job is to parent, not placate. If my adult child acted like this, I would refuse to change my position until they grew up and stopped acting like a 12 years old. You can't give in to emotional terrorism, and for it to come at this age is telling me this is not the first occasion, as it's hard to believe it could be. Fiance wants me, to change my last name because she doesn't want to take it in marriage. My mom has a different last name than my dad. I took my dad's last name. My fiance wants me to change my last name to my mom's before we get married since she doesn't like my last name and would rather take my mom's last name in marriage. She says that is important to her and so on. I said I will ask my parents and see what they think. They said that this is completely against our customs and would hurt my dad. They also can't believe how someone could make such a request. When I told my fiancé, she says that I don't prioritize our family and that she can't be with someone like that. I said that I was sorry, but that she needs to be respectful of my customs and family and that she needs to be less controlling of me. I've asked her if she wanted to keep her last name, but she refused, stating that she wants a name together for our family. While I agree that family should second in most matters regarding my fiancé, I personally think this is asking too much. Also, considering the fact that this issue, i.e., changing family last name, does involve them in a way too, and I don't want to ostracize them. Any advice? Too long, did not read. My fiancé wants me to change my last name to my mom's because she doesn't like my last name. Parents and I said no, and now she's threatening to call off our engagement, saying that I don't prioritize our family. Edit. So to give more color, she is mad that I'm not willing to change my name. Fiancé interprets this as some sort of unilateral decision on my part, ignoring her input. She states that I'm not working together as a family if I'm not willing to change my name together with her. Edit 2. I don't want to change my name to my fiancé's either. I don't want to change my name, period. My name right now is personal to me and I want to keep it. Why do people complicate your life? Can everyone just keep their own last name and call it a day? Be happy. Your fiancé can just keep her last name, if you marry her or not. Choose wisely. Does she love you or your name? I don't believe that a bride has to take her husband's last name. I also believe that a husband can take his wife's last name, but your fiancé is a bit out of line with her request. She sounds very unreasonable. I'm guessing this is not the first time she's shown her true self. How about everyone keeps their own last name? I doubt any children will get that confused if you just explain to them. I don't think they're suddenly going to think, oh, they're not really my family. Did you have that opinion of the situation before you talked to your parents? It kind of sounds like you just copied whatever your parents said about it. Also, are you and your fiancé from the same culture? Everybody just keep your own name. If she wants a new last name, she's free to change hers. FYI, she seems a little controlling. Are you ready for that?